Hello, and welcome back to Talk English Now. I'm Sarah, and today we're going to talk about advanced English conversation, focusing on vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and pronunciation, 3 areas that can make your speaking sound richer, more natural, and more confident. When you reach an advanced level in English, the small details begin to matter so much more. The words you choose, the way you combine them, and even how your mouth shapes the sounds can change the impression you give in a conversation. That's why today I want us to spend time together working carefully on these 3 important elements: vocabulary for precision and depth, phrasal verbs for natural flow, and pronunciation for clarity and confidence. Let's begin with vocabulary. Advanced speakers know that vocabulary is not only about learning difficult or complicated words, it is about choosing the most accurate word for the situation. For example, think about the difference between the words big and enormous. Both words describe something large, but enormous carries more weight and intensity. If I say, the building is big, you understand it. But if I say, the building is enormous, suddenly you feel its size more strongly. The choice of word changes the feeling. This is why advanced vocabulary is less about memorizing long lists of rare words and more about understanding subtle shades of meaning. Let's practice this together. Imagine you want to describe a busy street. You could say, the street is noisy. That's clear. But if you want to be more advanced, you might say, the street is bustling, or the street is chaotic, or even the street is deafening with traffic sounds. Each of these words gives a slightly different picture. So, advanced vocabulary is really about precision and emotion, not just difficulty. Another example is the word happy. You already know it, but English has many alternatives. You can say joyful, delighted, content, ecstatic, thrilled. Each one expresses a slightly different level of happiness. By learning these nuances, you make your speech sound more alive. Try this with me now. I'll say a sentence, and you repeat after me. I'm happy with my results. Now try this. I'm delighted with my results. Now, I'm thrilled with my results. Do you feel how each word changes the strength of your emotion? That's the beauty of vocabulary choice. Now, let's move into phrasal verbs. These are one of the hardest but also most natural parts of English. A phrasal verb is when a simple verb is combined with a preposition or an adverb, and the meaning often changes completely. For example, to put up with means to tolerate. So instead of saying, I tolerate the noise, you could say, I put up with the noise. And trust me, native speakers use phrasal verbs constantly. If you want to sound natural in conversation, you need them. Let's look at a few examples together. The verb to bring up can mean to mention. Imagine you're in a meeting and you want to mention a new idea. You could say, I want to bring up a suggestion. That sounds very natural. Another example is to carry on, which means to continue. Instead of saying, let's continue with the lesson, you could say, let's carry on with the lesson. It feels more conversational. Try repeating after me. Let's carry on with the lesson. Good. Now a slightly trickier one. To figure out. This means to solve or understand something. You might say, I'm trying to figure out this problem. Or, can you figure out the answer? It's much more common than saying solve in everyday conversation. So the next time you want to sound more natural, try to replace solve with figure out. Repeat with me. I'll figure it out. Again. Don't worry, I'll figure it out. Phrasal verbs can feel overwhelming because there are so many of them, but the key is to learn them in context, not in isolation. That means when you read or hear English, notice how people use them naturally in conversations, and then practice saying them yourself. For example, when someone says, I can't keep up with all this work, notice the phrase, keep up with. It means to manage or stay at the same speed. Then try to use it in your own life. Maybe you say, I can't keep up with all the new series on Netflix. Practicing like this makes phrasal verbs part of your real language use. Now let's shift our focus to pronunciation. This is an area many learners worry about, but I want you to feel calm and confident here. Remember, pronunciation is not about having a perfect accent. It is about being clear and understandable. What makes advanced pronunciation strong is rhythm, stress, and intonation. These are the musical qualities of English speech. For example, in English, we stress certain words more than others. Listen to this sentence. I didn't say she stole the money. Depending on which word I stress, the meaning changes. If I stress I, it means maybe someone else said it, but not me. I didn't say she stole the money. If I stress stole, it means maybe she borrowed the money, but she didn't steal it. I didn't say she stole the money. Do you see how stress can completely change the interpretation? Practicing stress and intonation is one of the secrets to sounding advanced. Another important area is linking sounds. In English, we often connect words together when we speak quickly. For example, instead of saying want to, we often say wanna. I want to go becomes I wanna go. Another example is going to, which becomes gonna. I'm going to study becomes I'm gonna study. Now, this is more informal speech, but it's very common in conversation. If you want to sound natural, it helps to recognize and practice these connections. Let's try some together. Repeat after me slowly first. I want to eat dinner. Now faster. I want to eat dinner. Good. Now try this one. I'm going to call my friend. Slowly. I'm going to call my friend. Now faster. I'm gonna call my friend. Excellent. By practicing both slow and fast versions, you build flexibility, so you can understand native speakers when they speak quickly and also adapt your own speech when you want to sound more casual. Sometimes learners worry that using these reduced forms is incorrect. But don't worry. They are part of natural spoken English. Of course, in very formal writing you should not use them, but in daily conversation they are perfectly fine and will make you sound more natural and advanced. So to recap where we are now, advanced vocabulary is about precision and emotion. Phrasal verbs bring natural flow into your speech, and pronunciation with rhythm and connected speech helps you sound clear and confident. These three together create the foundation of advanced conversation skills, and this is just the beginning. In the rest of our lesson, we'll keep practicing each area more deeply, with examples you can repeat, reflect on, and use immediately in your daily conversations. Now that you've warmed up with the basics of vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and pronunciation, let's go deeper together. I want you to picture yourself in a real conversation, maybe with a colleague, a classmate, or a new friend. You're speaking English, and suddenly you realize that the words you choose can either make you sound basic or advanced. So let's explore how to upgrade your everyday vocabulary into something richer while still sounding natural. Think about the word good. It's probably one of the most common words in English, but advanced speakers rarely stop at just good. Instead, they might say fantastic, wonderful, outstanding, or even exceptional. Each of these carries more power. Imagine you finish a project at work and someone asks you how it went. You could say, "It was good." That's fine. But if you say, "It was outstanding," or "It was exceptional," suddenly you sound more expressive, more professional, and more advanced. Let's try this together. Repeat after me. It was good. Now, it was fantastic. It was outstanding. It was exceptional. Excellent. Here's another example. Instead of saying bad, you can choose from words like awful, terrible, horrible, or dreadful. These give stronger feelings. If someone asks how your day was and you say, "It was bad," they'll understand. But if you say, "It was dreadful," they'll immediately feel the intensity of your bad day. Try repeating after me now. It was bad. It was awful. It was dreadful. Notice how the sound of the words even carries emotion. Dreadful feels heavy and dramatic. That's the magic of advanced vocabulary. Now let's take a little moment to practice this in sentences. Imagine you're at a restaurant and the food tastes amazing. You could say, "The food is good," but try saying, "The food is delicious," or "The food is mouth-watering," or even, "The food is exquisite." Do you hear the difference? Each version gives your listener a stronger picture. Repeat with me. The food is delicious. The food is mouth-watering. The food is exquisite. Very good. Let's now step into some phrasal verbs that are very common in advanced conversation. One that I really like is to turn down. It means to refuse. For example, she turned down the job offer. Instead of always saying refused, try practicing turned down. Repeat after me. I turned down the invitation. Good. Another one is to look into. This means to investigate. For example, the company will look into the problem. Try this with me. I'll look into it tomorrow. Very natural. Another useful phrasal verb is to run out of. This means you have no more of something. Imagine you're cooking and you suddenly realize there's no sugar left. You can say, I ran out of sugar. Repeat this with me. I ran out of sugar. Another example. We ran out of time. You can see how natural this feels compared to always saying, we don't have time. That's the beauty of phrasal verbs. They make your speech flexible, fluid, and real. Now let's connect this with pronunciation practice, because using advanced words and phrasal verbs is great, but if you don't pronounce them clearly, communication can break down. Let's take the word exquisite. It has 3 syllables, ex, quiz, ite. The stress is on the second syllable. Exquisite. Try saying it slowly with me. Exquisite. Now a little faster. Exquisite. Good. Now put it in a sentence. The dessert was exquisite. Excellent. Another word we practiced earlier was dreadful. Let's practice the pronunciation. It has 2 syllables, dread, full, stress on the first syllable, dreadful. Repeat after me, dreadful. The weather is dreadful today. Very nice. When you practice like this, you're not just memorizing words. You're training your mouth and your ear to work together. That's how fluency grows. Now let's bring in something advanced that many learners forget. Intonation. Intonation is the rise and fall of your voice when you speak. It's what makes English sound alive, not flat. For example, when we ask yes or no questions, our voice often rises at the end. Listen carefully. Do you like pizza? Notice my voice rising at the end. Now you try. Do you like pizza? Good. But when we ask information questions like, where are you going? Our voice usually falls at the end. Try this. Where are you going? Do you hear the difference? Rising intonation makes the sentence feel open, like you're waiting for confirmation. Falling intonation makes it feel more complete. Practicing intonation helps you sound not only clear, but also natural and confident. Let's practice some sentences where intonation changes meaning. Say this with me. You're coming tonight? That rising tone makes it a question. Now say it with a falling tone. You're coming tonight. That makes it a statement. Same words, but the music of your voice changes the meaning completely. This is one of the secrets advanced speakers know and use without thinking. But you can train yourself to use it too. Now let's mix vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and pronunciation into a mini conversation. Imagine 2 friends talking. One says, "Hey, do you want to come to the party tonight?" The other says, "I'd love to, but I had to turn down the invitation because I'm running out of time with my project." Did you hear the phrasal verbs turn down and running out of? That's advanced conversation in action. Let's repeat parts of it together. I had to turn down the invitation. I'm running out of time with my project. Excellent. Let's also look at pronunciation inside that sentence. I'm running out of time. Notice how the words connect. It sounds more like I'm running out of time. Native speakers link the e sounds together. running out of becomes runnin' outta. Try to imitate it with me, slowly first. I'm running out of time. Now faster. I'm runnin' outta time. Very good. This is the kind of detail that makes you sound advanced when speaking. Before we move further, let me give you a quick, friendly reminder. If you're enjoying this lesson, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more daily English practice. It really helps us bring you more useful lessons every day, and it keeps you motivated too. Thank you for being here and practicing with me. Now, let's keep going. One more phrasal verb that's very useful is to catch up. It means to get to the same level or to reconnect with someone after some time. For example, I need to catch up on my homework, or let's catch up soon. Both are common and sound natural. Repeat with me. I need to catch up on my homework. Let's catch up soon. Very good. Here's another. To break down. This can mean when a machine stops working. For example, my car broke down on the way to work. But it can also mean when a person starts crying emotionally. She broke down in tears. Notice how one phrasal verb can have different meanings depending on the context. That's why learning phrasal verbs through examples is so important. Repeat with me. My car broke down. She broke down in tears. Excellent. Now let's practice pronunciation again with linking. Listen carefully. My car broke down. When spoken quickly, it can sound like my car broke down. Everything connects. Try it slowly. My car broke down. Now faster. My car broke down. Great. Now the second sentence. She broke down in tears. Slowly. She broke down in tears. Now faster. She broke down in tears. Do you hear how the words merge together? That's how natural English conversation really sounds. When you practice this kind of linking, you are training your ear to hear real English the way it's spoken, and you're also training your mouth to reproduce the same rhythm. This is why shadowing practice, repeating immediately after hearing a native speaker, is so powerful for fluency. Every time you copy the rhythm, your English becomes smoother and closer to natural conversation. Let's continue building your advanced English conversation skills by going deeper into how vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and pronunciation come together in real situations. Because it's not enough to learn them separately, the real challenge and the real progress happens when you bring them together naturally while speaking. Imagine you're at work and your boss asks for an update on your project. You could answer in a simple way, I finished the project. That's correct. But if you want to sound more advanced, you might say, I wrapped up the project yesterday. Do you hear the difference? Wrap up is a phrasal verb that means to complete something. It makes your response sound natural, conversational, and closer to the way a native speaker would talk. Repeat this with me. I wrapped up the project yesterday. Good. Another example. Instead of saying, I checked the details, you could say, I looked into the details. It feels more professional and more advanced. Repeat after me. I looked into the details carefully. Very good. And if your boss asks when you'll be ready for the next stage, instead of saying, I will start soon, you could say, I'm going to kick off the next stage tomorrow. Kick off is another phrasal verb that means to begin. Try it with me. I'm going to kick off the next stage tomorrow. Excellent. Now, let's turn to vocabulary choices again. Because sounding advanced often depends on your ability to select the right level of formality for the situation. For example, in casual conversation, you might say, I'm really tired. But in a professional context, you could say, I'm exhausted after a long day of meetings. The word exhausted is more expressive and advanced than just tired. Repeat after me. I'm exhausted after a long day. Good. Another example. Instead of saying the results are good, you could say the results are promising. That one word change communicates a lot more. Repeat with me. The results are promising. Now, let's practice pronunciation by focusing on word stress in longer words. Stress is very important in English because it helps listeners understand you clearly. Let's take the word promising. It has 3 syllables. Prom, is, ing, and the stress is on the first syllable, pro-missing. Try slowly with me. Pro-missing. Now in a sentence. The results are promising. Very nice. Another word we used earlier was exhausted. It has 3 syllables too. House, ted. The stress is in the middle. House, ted. Repeat slowly. House, ted. Now faster. Exhausted. In a sentence, I'm exhausted after work. Excellent. Sometimes learners focus so much on grammar that they forget about sound and rhythm. But rhythm is what makes your English sound natural. Let's practice a rhythm exercise together. Listen and repeat after me. I wrapped up the project. Notice the strong stress on wrapped and proj. I wrapped up the project. Now say it smoothly with me. Good. Try again, but faster. Excellent. This type of drilling builds muscle memory in your mouth and helps you speak automatically without thinking too much. Now let's look at a mini dialogue to practice advanced expressions. Imagine 2 people catching up after not seeing each other for a while. The first person says, Hey, it's been ages since we last caught up. How have you been? The second person replies, I've been swamped with work, but I finally managed to wrap up a huge project. Did you notice the advanced vocabulary and phrasal verbs? It's been ages means a long time. Caught up means reconnected. Swamped means extremely busy. Wrap up means to finish. These are natural, advanced choices that make your speech sound authentic. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. It's been ages since we last caught up. Good. I've been swamped with work. Excellent. I managed to wrap up a huge project. Very nice. When you use expressions like these, your conversation feels rich and flowing, not flat or repetitive. Now let's go deeper into phrasal verbs with emotional meaning. For example, to open up. This means to share personal feelings honestly. Imagine a friend is very private, but finally they tell you something important. You might say, I'm glad you opened up to me. Repeat this with me. I'm glad you opened up to me. Good. Another emotional phrasal verb is to break up. This usually refers to ending a romantic relationship. They broke up last month. Repeat after me. They broke up last month. Good. Notice how phrasal verbs are not just about actions. They also carry emotional weight, and that's why they're so important in advanced conversation. Let's combine this with pronunciation practice on connected speech again. Listen to this. I'm glad you opened up to me. When spoken quickly, it connects like, I'm glad you opened up to me. Do you hear the flow? Try slowly first. I'm glad you opened up to me. Now faster. I'm glad you opened up to me. Very good. This kind of practice helps you not only speak better, but also understand native speakers when they talk quickly. Now let's step back into vocabulary again. I want to show you how to avoid weak, repetitive words. Many learners overuse words like very, for example, very big. But advanced English replaces very big with huge, massive, enormous, or gigantic. Instead of very small, you can say tiny, minute, or microscopic. Instead of very hot, you can say boiling or scorching. Instead of very cold, you can say freezing. Each of these words is more precise and more powerful than very. So, one of the fastest ways to sound advanced is to reduce your use of very and replace it with a stronger single word. Let's practice some together. Repeat after me. It's very big. Now change it. It's enormous. It's massive. It's gigantic. Good. Another one. It's very small. Now change it. It's tiny. It's minute. Excellent. And one more. It's very cold. Now change it. It's freezing. Wonderful. This small habit of replacing very plus adjective with a stronger single word will instantly lift your English to a more advanced level. Now let's practice using some of these in a short scenario. Imagine you're describing a concert. You could say, the concert was very big, the crowd was very noisy, and the weather was very hot. That's fine, but it sounds repetitive and basic. Instead, try this. The concert was massive, the crowd was deafening, and the weather was scorching. Do you feel the difference? It's stronger, more expressive, more advanced. Repeat this with me. The concert was massive. The crowd was deafening. The weather was scorching. Excellent. You're getting the hang of it. Now let's end this part with a focus on intonation and emotion. Because advanced conversation is not just about words, it's also about how you deliver them. Let's take the sentence, I can't believe it. If you say it with a flat voice, it feels weak. I can't believe it. But if you say it with rising and falling intonation, it feels emotional. I can't believe it. Try it with me. I can't believe it. Now with surprise. I can't believe it. Now with disappointment. I can't believe it. Do you hear how intonation changes everything? This is what makes your English conversation advanced and alive. Let's keep going and make your English conversation even more advanced. At this stage, you're not just learning words, you're learning how to think in English, how to react quickly, and how to choose expressions that carry the right emotion and tone. And that's exactly what makes your English feel natural, confident, and fluent. Let's begin with some advanced vocabulary for expressing opinions. Instead of always saying, I think, you can use alternatives like I believe, I suppose, I assume, or I would argue. Each one gives your opinion a slightly different flavor. For example, I think this movie is good is fine, but I believe this movie is outstanding sounds stronger and more confident. Or, I would argue this movie is one of the best I've seen in years, makes you sound thoughtful and persuasive. Try them with me now. I believe this is important. I suppose you're right. I would argue that practice is more important than talent. Excellent. Now, let's add a few advanced phrases for agreement and disagreement. In basic English, you might say I agree or I disagree, but in advanced conversation, you can say I completely agree with you or I see your point, but I'm not entirely convinced. You can also say that's a fair point, but let me add something. These sound much more natural in professional discussions, debates, or even casual conversations with friends. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. I completely agree with you. Good. I see your point, but I'm not entirely convinced. Excellent. That's a fair point, but let me add something. Very nice. Now, let's turn to some phrasal verbs connected with communication, because conversation is all about expressing yourself clearly. One common phrasal verb is to bring up, which we touched on earlier. It means to mention something. She brought up an interesting idea during the meeting. Another one is to point out, which means to highlight something important. I'd like to point out a small mistake in your report. And another is to get across, which means to successfully communicate an idea. He got his message across clearly. Let's practice these together. She brought up an interesting idea. I'd like to point out a mistake. He got his message across. Excellent. Now let's work on pronunciation with these phrasal verbs. Listen carefully. Brought up. When said quickly, it sounds like brought up. Repeat slowly. Brought up. Now faster. Brought up. Good. Next one. Point out. When connected, it sounds like point out. Repeat slowly. Point out. Now faster. Point out. Excellent. And get across. When connected, it sounds like get across. Repeat slowly. Get across. Now faster. Get across. Wonderful. This kind of practice makes your English flow more naturally. Let's move into vocabulary for describing people. Instead of always saying, he is nice, you can choose more advanced words like considerate, thoughtful, generous, or kind-hearted. And instead of saying, she is smart, you can say, she is intelligent, brilliant, sharp, or insightful. These words add depth to your descriptions. Try this with me. He is considerate. She is brilliant. He is thoughtful. She is insightful. Very good. Now, if you want to describe negative qualities, instead of just saying, he is bad, you can say, he is rude, arrogant, selfish, or inconsiderate. Instead of, she is lazy, you could say, she is unmotivated, or she is careless. These choices make your speech richer and more advanced. Repeat after me. He is arrogant. She is unmotivated. He is selfish. She is careless. Excellent. Now let's put this into practice with a short scenario. Imagine you're describing a colleague to a friend. You could say, my colleague is nice and smart. That's basic. But let's make it advanced. My colleague is considerate and insightful. Do you hear the difference? Let's repeat together. My colleague is considerate and insightful. Very good. Now let's take a quick break from vocabulary and talk about pronunciation and intonation again, because advanced conversation is not only what you say, but how you say it. Let's practice a sentence with rising and falling intonation. Repeat after me. Are you going to the meeting tomorrow? Notice the rise at the end. Now let's turn it into a statement with a falling tone. You are going to the meeting tomorrow. Excellent. Same words, different intonation, different meaning. Let's also practice linking sounds in longer sentences. For example, I don't know what to do. Slowly, it sounds separate. I do not know what to do. But in fast, natural conversation, it becomes, I don't know what to do. Try slowly with me. I don't know what to do. Now faster. I don't know what to do. Excellent. This is exactly how native speakers blend sounds together. Practice this often because it will make listening easier and speaking more natural. Let's work with another phrasal verb that uses linking to catch on. It means to understand or become popular. For example, it took me a while to catch on to the new system, or that fashy on trend really caught on. Notice how it links. Catch on, try slowly, catch on. Now faster, catch on. Repeat with me. That trend really caught on. Good. Now let's do a short role-play scenario to bring it all together. Imagine you and a friend are talking about a new app. You say, have you heard about the new app? It really caught on quickly. Your friend replies, yes, I believe it's brilliant. Everyone is talking about it. And then you say, I'd like to point out one problem, though. It sometimes crashes. Your friend answers, that's a fair point, but overall, I completely agree it's useful. Did you hear the advanced vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and natural phrases? Caught on, point out, crashes, fair point, completely agree. This is advanced conversation in action. Let's repeat key parts together. It really caught on quickly. I believe it's brilliant. I'd like to point out one problem. That's a fair point. I completely agree. Excellent. This is how your English becomes conversational, flexible, and alive. Now let's go back to vocabulary for emotions. Instead of saying, I'm sad, you can use words like, I'm upset, I'm miserable, I'm heartbroken, or I'm devastated. Each one expresses a stronger or more specific kind of sadness. Repeat after me. I'm upset. I'm miserable. I'm heartbroken. I'm devastated. Excellent. And instead of saying I'm happy, we already practiced words like delighted, thrilled, and ecstatic. Let's practice them again quickly. I'm delighted. I'm thrilled. I'm ecstatic. Very good. Now let's use these in sentences to bring them to life. I was devastated when I lost my phone. Repeat after me. I was devastated when I lost my phone. Good. I was thrilled to meet my favorite singer. Repeat. I was thrilled to meet my favorite singer. Excellent. Practicing like tea. His prepares you for real-life situations where you want to express your feelings more precisely and naturally. Finally, let's do a quick pronunciation drill with these emotional words. Devastated. 4 syllables. D-va-sta-ted. Stress is on the first syllable. De-va-sta-ted. Repeat slowly. Devastated. Now faster. Devastated. Good. Next, ecstatic. 3 syllables. Ek, stat, ick. Stress in the middle. Ex, stat, ick. Repeat slowly. Ecstatic. Now faster. Ecstatic. In a sentence, I was ecstatic about the news. Excellent. This is how you train your ear and tongue together for advanced vocabulary. Let's keep moving forward together. At this point, you've seen how advanced vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and pronunciation can transform your English into something much richer and more expressive. Now, we'll keep building layer by layer, adding more examples and practice so you can really feel the difference when you speak. Let's begin with vocabulary for describing experiences. Many learners say, "It was interesting," or "It was boring." Those words are fine, but they don't always capture the full feeling. If something is interesting, you could also say fascinating, captivating, or engaging. Each of these makes your description stronger. For example, the documentary was fascinating. The book was captivating. The lecture was engaging. Repeat after me. The documentary was fascinating. The book was captivating. The lecture was engaging. Excellent. Now let's practice alternatives for boring. You could say dull, tedious, or monotonous. These words carry more specific meaning. For example, the meeting was dull. The paperwork is tedious. The routine feels monotonous. Repeat with me. The meeting was dull. The paperwork is tedious. The routine feels monotonous. Very good. Using these richer words makes your speech sound advanced and colorful. Now, let's bring in some phrasal verbs that also describe experiences. One useful on is to look back on. This means to remember and reflect on something from the past. For example, I look back on my school years with joy. Repeat after me. I look back on my school years with joy. Good. Another one is to go through. It means to experience something difficult. For example, She went through a hard time last year. Repeat with me. She went through a hard time last year. Excellent. And another is to end up. It means to finally arrive somewhere or in some situation. We ended up getting lost in the city. Repeat. We ended up getting lost in the city. Perfect. Now let's connect pronunciation practice with these phrasal verbs. Listen carefully. Look back on. When spoken quickly, it sounds like look backin'. Try slowly. Look back on. Now faster. Look backin'. Good. Next one. Went through. When connected, it becomes went through. Repeat slowly. Went through. Now faster. Went through. Excellent. And finally, end up. When linked, it sounds like end up. Slowly first. End up. Now faster. End up. Wonderful. This is how you make phrasal verbs sound natural in everyday conversation. Now let's step into pronunciation. Focus on stress patterns. Because advanced conversation is not just about knowing the words, but also saying them with the right stress. Take the word fascinating. It has 3 syllables: fas, si, nat, ing. The stress is on the first syllable. Fas, si, nat, ing. Repeat slowly. Fascinating. Now faster. Fascinating. In a sentence, the documentary was fascinating. Excellent. Now try monotonous. 4 syllables. Mo, not. O, news. Stress is on the second syllable. Mo, not o, news. Repeat slowly. Monotonous. Now faster. Monotonous. In a sentence, the routine feels monotonous. Very nice. Let's practice a short role play together. Imagine you're talking with a friend about a trip you both took. You could say, "When I look back on our trip, I feel so happy. Even though we went through some challenges, like missing the bus, we ended up having an unforgettable experience." Did you hear the phrasal verbs? Look back on, went through, ended up. And did you hear the vocabulary? Unforgettable instead of just good. Let's repeat some of it together. When I look back on our trip, I feel so happy. We went through some challenges. We ended up having an unforgettable experience. Excellent. This is how you create advanced sentences in real conversation. Now let's expand vocabulary around conversations themselves. Instead of always saying talk, you can use words like discuss, debate, argue, chat, or converse. Each one has a slightly different use. For example, we discussed the problem feels more formal. We debated the problem means you had opposing opinions. We chatted about the problem is casual, and we argued about the problem suggests conflict. Repeat these with me. We discussed the problem. We debated the problem. We chatted about the problem. We argued about the problem. Excellent. Now let's bring in a few phrasal verbs for conversation. One is to speak up, which means to express your opinion more clearly or loudly. For example, you should speak up during meetings. Another is to cut in, which means to interrupt. he cut in while I was speaking. Another is to go on, which means to continue. She went on talking for hours. Repeat these with me. You should speak up. He cut in while I was speaking. She went on talking for hours. Great job. Now let's practice pronunciation and linking with these. Speak up. When spoken quickly, it sounds like speak up. Try slowly. Speak up. Now, Faye, stir. Speak up. Good. Cut in. Connected, it sounds like cuttin'. Slowly. Cut in. Now faster. Cuttin'. Excellent. And go on. When linked, it sounds like go on. Slowly. Go on. Now faster. Go on. Wonderful. Now, let's create a practice dialogue using these phrasal verbs. Imagine a team meeting. One person says, "If you have ideas, don't be afraid to speak up." Another says, "Sorry to cut in, but I think we should focus on the main issue." And the first replies, "That's true, but I could go on about this topic all day." Let's repeat together. Don't be afraid to speak up. Sorry to cut in. I could go on about this all day. Excellent. This feels much more advanced than basic conversation. Let's return to vocabulary for describing results and achievements. Instead of saying it was successful, you can say it was a triumph, it was a victory, or it was a breakthrough. These words add strength and emotion. Repeat after me. It was a triumph. It was a victory. It was a breakthrough. Very good. On the other hand, instead of saying it was a failure, you could say it was a setback, it was a defeat, or it was a disaster. Each one gives a slightly different feeling. Repeat with me. It was a setback. It was a defeat. It was a disaster. Excellent. Now let's link this with pronunciation. Take the word breakthrough. 2 syllables. Break. Through. Stress is on the first syllable. Break through. Repeat slowly. Breakthrough. Now faster. Breakthrough. In a sentence, this discovery was a breakthrough. Good. Now let's try setback. 2 syllables. Set. Back. Stress on the first syllable. Set. Back. Repeat slowly. Set back. Now faster. Set back. In a sentence, it was just a minor setback. Excellent. Now, let's put everything into one longer scenario. Imagine you're telling a story about your work. You say, "At first, the project felt dull and tedious, and we went through a lot of problems. But in the end, we managed to speak up about our ideas, and we ended up achieving a real breakthrough. When I look back on the whole experience, I feel proud." This is advanced English in action. Let's practice key parts together. We went through a lot of problems. We managed to speak up about our ideas. We ended up achieving a breakthrough. When I look back on the whole experience, I feel proud. Excellent. By practicing these kinds of examples, you're not only learning words, You're learning how to place them in real stories, how to link them naturally, and how to deliver them with the right intonation and rhythm. This is exactly what will make your English conversation advanced and natural at the same time. Let's keep practicing together. You're doing so well, and by now you can already feel how your English is becoming fuller, more expressive, and closer to natural conversation. In this part, we'll focus even more on how to combine advanced vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and pronunciation in situations you may face every day. Let's start with vocabulary for problem solving. Many learners simply say fix or solve, but advanced English has many alternatives. For example, you can say resolve, address, or work out. We need to resolve this issue quickly. The manager addressed the problem in the meeting. We worked out a solution together. Repeat after me. We need to resolve this issue quickly. The manager addressed the problem in the meeting. We worked out a solution together. Excellent. Now let's add phrasal verbs that describe problem solving. One very common one is to sort out. It means to organize or solve. Don't worry, I'll sort it all. Another is to figure out, which we already practiced. I need to figure out how this works. Another is to iron out, which means to remove small difficulties. They need to iron out the details before signing the contract. Repeat with me. I'll sort it out. I need to figure it out. They need to iron out the details. Excellent. Now let's practice pronunciation with these phrasal verbs, focusing on linking. Listen carefully. Sort out. When spoken quickly, it sounds like sort out. Repeat slowly. Sort out. Now faster. Sort out. Good. Next. Figure out. When connected, it sounds like figure out. Repeat slowly. Figure out. Now faster. Figure out. Excellent. And iron out. It often connects as iron out. Slowly. Iron out. Now faster. Iron out. Wonderful. Now let's create a scenario to use them. Imagine you're at work and someone says, "We had some problems, but don't worry, we sorted them out." Or you could say, "I need to figure out a way to make this process faster." Or, "We still have to iron out a few details before we launch." Repeat after me. We sorted them out. I need to figure out a way. We have to iron out a few details. Excellent. These are the kinds of sentences you can really use in real conversations. Now let's step into advanced vocabulary for describing improvements. Instead of saying, "It got better," you can say, "It improved," "It progressed," "It developed," or "It advanced." For example, her English has improved a lot. The situation progressed quickly. The plan developed over time. Technology has advanced rapidly. Repeat with me. Her English has improved a lot. The situation progressed quickly. The plan developed over time. Technology has advanced rapidly. Very good. Let's add phrasal verbs for improvement. One useful one is pick up. It can mean to learn or improve. She picked up Spanish while living in Spain. Another is catch on, which we practiced earlier, meaning to understand or become popular. It took me a while to catch on, but now I get it. Another is build up, which means to increase over time. He built up his confidence through practice. Repeat with me. She picked up Spanish. I finally caught on. He built up his confidence. Excellent. Now let's work on pronunciation with intonation to give your sentences life. Listen to this. She picked up Spanish while living in Spain. Notice how the voice rises slightly at Spanish and falls at Spain. Try it with me slowly. She picked up Spanish while living in Spain. Now faster and smoother. Good. Now try this one. He built up his confidence through practice. Stress falls on built and confidence. Repeat slowly. He built up his confidence through practice. Now faster. Excellent. Now let's step into vocabulary for describing change. Instead of saying, it changed, you can use words like, it shifted, it transformed, it evolved, or it adapted. These words sound more advanced and precise. For example, her attitude shifted after the meeting. The city transformed over the years. The language evolved naturally. The company adapted to the new market. Repeat after me. Her attitude shifted. The city transformed. The language evolved. The company adapted. Excellent. Now let's add some phrasal verbs for change. To take over, meaning to assume control. The company was taken over by a larger competitor. To break into, meaning to enter a new field. He broke into the fashion industry. And to turn into, meaning to become something else. The caterpillar turned into a butterfly. Repeat with me. The company was taken over. He broke into the fashion industry. The caterpillar turned into a butterfly. Excellent. Now let's do a mini dialogue using this vocabulary and these phrasal verbs. Imagine you're talking about a business. You could say, the company adapted quickly to the changes in the market. Your friend replies, yes, and then a larger competitor took over. You answer, exactly, but they eventually turned into something even stronger. Let's practice key parts together. The company adapted quickly. A larger competitor took over. They turned into something stronger. Excellent. That's advanced English conversation in action. Now let's take some time to practice pronunciation of difficult sounds. One sound that learners struggle with is the th sound in words like think and this. In think, the sound is voiceless. Put your tongue lightly between your teeth and blow air out. Ink. Repeat with me. Think. Thought. 30. Good. In this, the sound is voiced. You use the same tongue position, but add vibration in your throat. Is. Repeat after me. This. That. These. Those. Excellent. Mastering the sounds makes your pronunciation much clearer and more advanced. Another important sound is the difference between ship and sheep. In ship, the vowel is short. I, ship. In sheep, The vowel is long. E, sheep. Repeat after me. Ship, sheep. Live, leave. Bit, beat. Excellent. These small vowel differences are crucial in advanced pronunciation because they completely change the meaning of words. Now let's bring back vocabulary for describing communication styles. Instead of saying, he spoke clearly, you can say, he expressed himself eloquently. Instead of saying, she talks too much, you can say, she tends to ramble. Instead of saying, he explained it well, you can say, he articulated his point effectively. These are all more advanced ways of describing communication. Repeat after me. He expressed himself eloquently. She tends to ramble. He articulated his point effectively. Excellent. Finally, let's finish this section with a scenario that pulls everything together. Imagine you are describing a meeting to a colleague. You could say, at first, the discussion was dull, but then one participant spoke up eloquently and managed to get his message across. We figured out a way to resolve the issue, and the company adapted quickly. Looking back, it was a breakthrough moment. This combines advanced vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and pronunciation naturally. Let's practice key lines together. One participant spoke up eloquently. He managed to get his message across. We figured out a way to resolve the issue. The company adapted quickly. It was a breakthrough moment. Excellent. This is how you bring advanced English into real-life conversation. By using precise vocabulary, flexible phrasal verbs, and confident pronunciation, you'll not only be understood, but you'll also impress and connect more deeply with the people you speak to. We've come a long way in this lesson. You've practiced advanced vocabulary, mastered new phrasal verbs, and worked carefully on your pronunciation. Now let's take all of this and apply it in more real-life contexts so you can feel confident the next time you open your mouth to speak English. Let's begin with vocabulary for expressing emotions in more subtle ways. Instead of saying, I'm angry, you can say, I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, I'm irritated, or I'm furious. Each of these words describes a different level of anger. For example, frustrated is softer, while furious is very strong. Repeat after me. I'm frustrated. I'm annoyed. I'm irritated. I'm furious. Excellent. Now use them in sentences. I'm frustrated with the delay. I was annoyed by the noise. She was irritated by his behavior. He was furious about the decision. Perfect. Now let's move into phrasal verbs for emotions. One common one is to calm down. It means to relax after being upset. He finally calmed down after the argument. Another is to cheer up, which means to become happier. She cheered up when she saw her friends. And another is to bottle up, which means to keep emotions hidden inside. He bottled up his feelings for too long. Repeat these with me. He calmed down after the argument. She cheered up when she saw her friends. He bottled up his feelings. Excellent. Let's connect this with pronunciation practice. Calm down. When spoken quickly, it becomes calm down. Try slowly. Calm down. Now faster. Calm down. Good. cheer up. When connected, it sounds like cheer up. Slowly. Cheer up. Now faster. Cheer up. Excellent. And bottle up. When spoken naturally, it can sound like bottle up. Slowly. Bottle up. Now faster. Bottle up. Very good. Practicing like this makes your phrasal verbs sound smoother and more natural. Now let's turn to vocabulary for persuasion and influence, which is very useful in advanced conversations at work, school, or even in debates with friends. Instead of saying, I convinced him, you can say, I persuaded him, I encouraged him, or I influenced him. These words carry different strengths and tones. Repeat with me. I persuaded him. I encouraged him. I influenced him. Excellent. And instead of saying I explained, you can say I clarified, I elaborated, or I justified. Repeat after me. I clarified the point. I elaborated on the details. I justified my decision. Excellent. Let's add a few phrasal verbs for persuasion. One is to talk into, which means to persuade someone. She talked me into joining the club. Another is to talk out of, which means to persuade someone not to do something. He talked me out of quitting my job. Another is to go along with, which means to agree with something, often reluctantly. I didn't like the plan, but I went along with it. Repeat with me. She talked me into joining. He talked me out of quitting. I went along with it. Excellent. Now let's practice a little role play to bring this together. Imagine two friends. One says, I was thinking about leaving my job, but my brother talked me out of it. The other replies, That's good. He probably persuaded you to give it another chance. And then the first says, Yes, in the end, I decided to go along with his advice. This is how advanced English works in natural conversation. Let's repeat together. He talked me out of it. He persuaded me to give it another chance. I decided to go along with his advice. Excellent. Now let's focus on pronunciation again, but this time on sentence stress. In English, not every word is stressed equally. We usually stress content words, nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and reduce function wabial. Words like to, of, the, a. For example, listen to this sentence. She talked me out of quitting my job. The stress falls on talked, out, and quitting. The words me, of, and my are softer and quicker. Repeat slowly with me. She talked me out of quitting my job. Now faster. Excellent. Practicing sentence stress like this makes your English rhythm much more natural. Now let's move into vocabulary for describing success and failure in more nuanced ways. Instead of always saying, it was successful, you could say, it was effective, it was productive, or it was rewarding. Repeat after me. It was effective. It was productive. It was rewarding. Excellent. And instead of saying, it failed, you could say, it collapsed, it fell through, or it backfired. Repeat with me. The plan collapsed. The deal fell through. The strategy backfired. Excellent. Let's add phrasal verbs here too. One useful one is to pull off, which means to succeed, often unexpectedly. We pulled off the win against a strong team. Another is to fall apart, which means to fail or break into pieces. The project fell apart at the last minute. Another is to pay off, which means to bring good results. Her hard work paid off. Repeat with me. We pulled off the win. The project fell apart. Her hard work paid off. Excellent. Now let's do a final role-play scenario that uses all three elements: advanced vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and pronunciation. Imagine you're describing a presentation at work. You say, "At first, I was nervous, but my preparation paid off. I managed to pull off a strong presentation. There were some problems, but luckily they didn't make the plan fall apart. Looking back, it was rewarding." Did you hear all the advanced features? Paid off, pull off, fall apart, rewarding. Let's practice together. My preparation paid off. I managed to pull off a strong presentation. The plan didn't fall apart. It was rewarding. Excellent. Now, before we close, let's take a moment to reflect. Today, you've practiced so many powerful tools for advanced English conversation. You've learned vocabulary that goes beyond the basic, phrasal verbs that bring flow and natural rhythm, and pronunciation techniques that make your speech clear and expressive. Remember, fluency is not built in one day. It is built step by step with practice, repetition, and courage. Every time you speak, every time you listen and shadow, you are building the skills that will carry you forward. So here's my final message for you. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are proof that you're learning. Don't be afraid of speaking. Every word you try makes you better. Keep pushing yourself. Keep practicing with me, and you will see the results. Your English will not just be correct. It will be confident, natural, and advanced. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I'm proud of the effort you've given, and I believe in the progress you're making. Remember, learning English is a journey, and every step you take is valuable. Keep going, keep practicing, and never give up. You are capable of reaching fluency. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the icon so you don't miss future lessons. I'll be here every day to support you. Until next time, stay motivated, keep practicing, and always believe in yourself. You're doing amazing, and your English journey is only going to get better from here.